There are a lot of good indie games out there that simply just don't get the love they deserve. One such game is a personal favorite of mine, The Return of the Obra Dinn. In this video, I hope I can give you a good taste of the game, and convince you to try it out yourself. So without further ado, let's get into it. There's nothing like the darkened silhouette of a ship against a moonlit night to really set the mood for a game. At first, the only sound heard is the splashing of water. Then all of a sudden, the music kicks in. And ooh, yeah, this is gonna be a good game. The first thing we see when we start a new save is a paper informing us that a ship called the Obra Dinn has been lost at sea. We are informed by the East India Trading Company that the ship has returned to Fairmouth, and as Chief Claims Officer, we are instructed to do a full insurance and claims assessment. The year is 1807, 4 years after the ship went missing.
Company man woke me up. Said you'd need ferry to the Obra Dinn. Not many eager for that job. Seems a bit late if you ask.
I didn't.
What's in the box?
I don't know. I'll hoist it up in a few minutes.
Hey! How?
Carefully.
As far as the eye can see, there is only the darkness of an endless sea, interrupted only by the imposing structure of the Obra Dinn. The small rowboat we're on rocks back and forth as the sea breeze blows through the tattered remains of the sails overhead. Climbing aboard the Obra Dinn, we are met with an eerie sight. Not a single living soul is left aboard the ship. The deck is empty of life, and always below deck are closed. The ship looks like it has been through a lot. The sails are shredded up and partially tied, and the rear mast is snapped in two and seems to be barely kept together. The only sign that there ever was anyone alive aboard the ship is the skeletal remains of a person by the captain's quarters lying next to an axe. All around the ship, there is only the inky abyss of the ocean, pitch black except for the reflections of the moon and the stars shining overhead. And, of course, strange pulsating light, lingering not too far off the ship's port side. After a few minutes of observation, the rowman yells at us to lift our own things up ourselves. Coming down to help him, we open our case, pulling out two items. A book entitled Return of the Obra Dinn, a catalog of adventure and tragedy, and a strange pocket watch engraved with the words Memento Mori, Remember Death. The book's preface is written by one Henry Evans, who charges us to use the pocket watch to find out the identities and fates of every soul aboard the Obra Dinn. Beyond the preface, there's a table of contents, a list of chapters, a map of the planned Atlantic leg of the ship's journey, deck plans for the ship, a crew and passenger manifest, and a couple of sketches of life aboard the Obra Dinn. Looking through the book's chapters, we can see that they are all blank, except for a few ship locations circled throughout. We are informed that one chapter will only be made available to us after all the other chapters are filled out correctly. At the back there is a glossary and a strange symbol of a skull by the back cover. Returning aboard the Obra Dinn, as we approach the skeletal remains, we can pull out our compass and use it to return to a snapshot in time of when the person died. Using this ability, we can figure out a lot more about the people aboard the Obra Dinn in order to deduce their identities and solve their fates. Clicking on the skeleton before us,
Captain! Open the door! Kick it in. Lest we break it down and take more than those shells!
You bastards may take exactly what I give you!
we can see what happened in this man's final moments. After looking around the scene a bit, our book opens and flips to its final chapter, The End. The first section of the chapter is then filled in. This reveals a lot of helpful information for now and for later. It gives the location of the body on the ship, shows you which other crew members are present in the scene, gives you the transcript of everything said in the scene, and allows you to put information regarding the person's identity and cause of death. Looking around the scene, there is much to deduce. First off, the man who died was holding the axe that we find next to him in the present day. Rereading the transcript, we can see he was trying to break down the door. He was foiled by the man who can be assumed to be the captain, who shot him through the chest. Apparently he was searching for some shells that the captain had. Shells, really? I mean, I'm partial to a nice seashell myself, but I want to go around breaking down doors and killing for them. What would make a man fight and die for a shell? Well, there's no information right now that can help us find out the identity of the man who died. We are pretty sure we know how he died. He was shot with a gun. He calls the man who shot him captain, so we can only assume he was shot by Robert Witterall, the captain of the Obra Dinn. With no other information that can currently be deduced, we head back to the present. Returning, we can see that the door to the captain's quarters has been opened, thanks to the power of the compass. Heading inside, we find another 2 corpses sprawled out on the floor. The table has been overturned, and a spear and 2 knives can be found nearby. Clicking on the nearby corpse, we can get a pretty good account of what happened.
Where are they? Must be in here someplace.
They're at the bottom of the sea.
That's a lie.
Though he did manage to get a good hit on the captain, this unknown soul was cut across the throat before he could finish him off. Knifed by Captain Robert Witterall. Looking around out back, we can see another one of the men trying to sneak around to get the jump on the captain. I have a feeling from the corpse we saw earlier, we know what this man's fate will be. One interesting thing that was said was that, apparently, the shells these men are looking for were already thrown overboard by the captain. We're still left with many questions. What are these shells? Why did these men want them? And why did the captain decide to throw them overboard? More questions than can be answered right now, so I guess it's time to move on. Though this crew member also gets the first hit on the captain is just too quick, and uses the dropped spear to club him to death. Another door in the captain's quarters is open in this scene. Opening it must have been what the captain was doing before he was quite literally stabbed in the back. Heading into this room, we find a woman lying in a bed. Looking at her, it's hard to tell whether she is not already dead. She could be simply sleeping, though it would have to be a heavy sleep not to wake up in the commotion happening in the other room. If she did die, it couldn't have been too long ago, because her body hasn't decayed like all the ones found aboard the Obra Dinn in the present. Because the door is open in this scene, when we return to the present, we will find the door to this room now also open. Heading in, we are greeted immediately by another corpse.
Abigail, your brother, my friend. I shot him dead. I'll be with you soon, my love. Please forgive me for everything.
It seems that Captain Robert Witterall couldn't live with his actions, and struck by deep despair, took his own life. The game teaches us here that the fates are solved in groups of 3. 3 identities and their fates must be put in correctly before the game confirms it for us. This scene gives us the most amount of information out of any of the scenes we have seen so far. The captain laments to Abigail, who can be assumed to be the woman in the bed, that he killed her brother, who was also his best friend. He calls her his love, and looking through the passenger manifest, the only Abigail there has the last name Witterall, meaning Abigail was married to the captain. In the manifest, it says her name is Abigail Houskett Witterall. She's the only passenger with a middle name. Now at the time, it was a common practice for women to make their maiden name their middle name after they got married. So all we need to do is look for someone with the last name Houskett, and we'll know who her brother was. Looking at the list, we don't have to search far. William Houskett is the name of the ship's first mate. So the first mate was willing to have a mutiny over some shells, and the captain was willing to kill his best friend for him. There was definitely something rotten going on aboard the Obra Dinn. The captain, according to the logbook, is the last person to die in the last chapter. So if he killed himself, how did the ship get back to Fairmouth? Questions to be answered another time, I suppose. Well, now we have a good idea of the identities of the captain, the first mate, and Abigail, and the fates of all four of the men. The only fate needed to get for our first three is Abigail's. Heading over to her. Oh, I think I'm starting to figure out why everyone aboard the Obra Dinn died. But that mystery is something every player should figure out for themselves. While I would love to continue and tell you the ins and outs, how to solve all the fates in the game, that would be a huge disservice to such a great game. This game is one of those games that doesn't really hold your hand, and it shows you the basics, then just chucks you in the deep end. There are times when playing that you will be completely lost, and you just want to tear your hair out. But slowly, and surely, you will figure out how to slowly untangle the knot of this game's mystery. And let me tell you, when you figure something out, you will feel like the smartest man alive. This game really is a joy to play, and I hope that through this video, I've been able to show you a slice of just how good this game is. So go out there and try it for yourself, you won't regret it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask me again.